Hello everyone, it's Tonya with Scribbles in Time. I'm here today to do my latest flip through. This is the book that I had mentioned in previous videos because I had started on this book, gosh, probably two and a half weeks ago now. And I had really started it to be kind of a fall theme, although I have to say I can't really specifically say this is a fall theme journal. It definitely has some of the deeper hues in it, but I started it a couple of weeks ago, and then we were having our get-together at my friend's house, and we were going to do the wallet-style journals. So I kind of paused on the creation of this book and worked on the wallet journals, and I have been back and forth, you know, adding things to it, because what ended up happening is I had a box of stuff that I wanted to use in this journal, and when I got sidetracked on the wallet journals, I found myself putting different things in the box that I would come across. So then it ended up being kind of a Mod Podge of different different styles. So I tried to go back through and get more precise with the items to go into this, and it just has it's turned out full, and I think it's so similar to my previous styles, but I think it's also very unique in that I really went with some different, you know, I like to do rustic, and I really feel like I went with some rustic features as well as some pretty elegant features as well. So anyway, the name of this book is Leaves of Splendor, and I just thought that the name was very fitting for this book. It has beautiful leaves, golden leaves here on the front. The lighting is not the best in the world. It's getting close. It's evening time here, and or it's just before evening time, I guess I should say. But anyway, let me get the measurements of the book. I had already measured this before I started filming, but I'm going to go ahead and hold my ruler here, just, you know, just for comparison's sake. So if we measure, counting all of the stuff that's poking out, we're at about 9.5 inches. But if we only measure the hard covered portion, we're at about 7.5. And then when we measure the width of the book, if we go just to the hard edges, we're at about 6.5. But if we measure all the stuff that's poking out, we're at about 7.5 that way. The thickness, I always like to give the thickness. Now, again, I try to make my style journals in a way to where they sit out on a table. Although I think the spine view is very pretty, I don't really, with the embellishments that's on the cover, it would be very hard to put this in a bookshelf, you know, without risking smushing or messing up some of that. But I always like to give the thickness just in case. So yeah, the thickness of this one is about 3.5. And to go back to the cover, so I was showing you already that it has the gold leaves, and I have framed out the leaves with some sticks. And then underneath the sticks are some cheesecloth, just lots of layers, cardboard, my I call it my little quilty pieces. There's this really old burlap. This burlap I actually got at an estate sale in Charleston, South Carolina. I was at an estate sale there, and this lady had all kinds of Christmas stuff in a bag, and this burlap was actually in there, and you'd have to see it, but it's all frayed like this, and it was just old, very old, stained. Some of the pieces were real stained. It's just really, really cool in my opinion. Here I've put one of the little vials, and in the vials I've put these little golden toned little sequin flakes. They look a little bit like beads, but in person they really pick up the gold of the leaves. Hanging down from the center of the book, I'll try to remember to point that out as we go. But I did the little, I think these are fishing lures. Not sure what they are. I mentioned in the previous video, I found those in my my father-in-law's workshop. And I don't know what they were. But I think they're very light. They feel a little bit like cork. So I just always say they're fishing lures. I don't know. And this is a glass crystal off of an old chandelier. And then this is actually on a kind of a raggedy book press that I'll show to you in just a moment, but it does hang from the bottom of the book. Different layers made with the book covers. Little pieces of spine here and pieces of paper. And then I think that's pretty much the back is just kind of grunged up. The spine has the layered spines. And the top, and here's the other part of that raggedy, so you'll see that there's like a little pearl bead hanging out there. All right, we'll go ahead and get inside. I don't think I've left anything out on the front. So when you open her up, just inside the front cover, I've done the writing section, and I've used the cover of a very old photo album. The photo album was missing. Basically all it was a lot of cabinet cards with a lot of old photos. The back was missing and the spine was missing. And this was barely attached with some paper onto the top cabinet card. And I did actually leave the original paper on the inside of that cover, just because I like to leave it original. And I did the hidden stitching on the spine of the little writing journal. And the writing journal has approximately 52 writing surfaces. I'll do very quickly, just kind of flip through just to show you the assortment of paper that I used. And I've stuck little pieces of fabric down just to add some texture. I've put some pretty strips of some old fabric in here again just to add texture. Here's some music paper that a picture can be attached to or decoupaged over with a napkin. This is more of that really thin dish rag material. This is a page out of a dictionary, and I loved that it had faith up here, but it also had the word fall right here on the page. Sorry about the lighting, y'all. So yeah, I love that it had all of that. I meant to attach the washer. In fact, it's in the little box over here. I meant to attach a rusty washer and bolt here, and I will go back and do that. Just the tie on the washer and bolt. Some of the pages I've done to where they flip out just for additional writing space. That's a cigar band. And I just thought the blue looked pretty when this is laid out. You can kind of catch the different tones of blue. So I went with blue there. Here's a original stamp, and I just thought that looked pretty up against that old fabric, plus with the black numbers here. My glue stuck here. Just a little piece of fabric there. Another old stamp. I used a little piece of fabric like a tab for that fold out. A little piece of muslin. And here's the back. And I've covered the back portion of this writing journal with some really pretty vintage fabric. And then the inside of the overall book, I've used this vintage style fabric. Really wish I would have remembered to put that washer and nut on there. I think I said bolt a while ago. I meant nut. So yeah, I'll go back and add that, and I wish it was there for the video. That's going to bug me. But anyway, so I've put old fabric here. I've made a pencil case. It's hard. So I've made a pencil case here. Scoot the book back over. And then just put a pencil in there. And then this is the art section of the book. And I've put a lot of old fabric in this one. And then, I don't know how well it shows on camera, but a lot of tabs sticking out. So the overall layering look of this book is so pretty to me, with all the different fabrics and tabs that I've incorporated in. So we'll kind of start with the flip through. This is a piece of, I guess, lace. It's very thick. And then here is some beautiful vintage lace that I've attached to the bottom of this page. And when the book is closed, that kind of hangs out down here on the bottom. And it's so pretty. I'm going to show you up close. Very pretty. some of this, it's just so hard, you know, on camera. You can't see the texture, so it's just, it feels very old. Here is a clothing tab, and I've put that on. I actually attached it on, but I went back and added staples because, again, I wanted that kind of a rustic look, kind of using what somebody would have had, you know, 100, 200 years ago in their cabin or whatnot, just items they would have had. This is the mixed media paper that I've used, and I did a sketch further back. I always like to try to kind of demonstrate how this can be used. I really wanted to, I did a sketch based off of one that I've done in my legacy journal, and the one I did in my legacy journal, I actually did it on top of where I had put paper down on top of the mixed media, like this style right here. And I did the sketch on top of that so that that paper showed through my sketch. And I thought it turned out really cool. But you could add gesso. I think the sketch I did in this book, I actually put gesso, you know, all over the area where I did the sketch. Here's a pretty dolly. This is, I don't use digitals a whole lot. I like to use original paper, but this is probably one of my very favorite digitals, and I do try to use this one every so often. It's Matilda's Dream by Jibid, and this is one of my favorite digitals ever. It's just, to me, it's precious. It's a little girl, and it's almost like a dream state that she's in with nature. And I love using it. I've used little pieces throughout the book. Here are some of the heavyweight fabric that my friend Dee did her pretty stitching on. I made a little tab out of that. Here is just a strip of fabric coming down between these two pages. And then over here we have like a wooden nickel. And then this is, my goodness, my brain just went, flower pounding that my friend Kathy did. She's with Rest Paper Scissors, and she sent me these pieces of fabric, and I talked about it in one of my wallet journals. They're just amazing. And when she had told me in her letter that it was flower pounding, I don't really know what I thought, but I think in my mind I thought that she put like hues of paint on flowers and like pressed it onto fabric. But I had asked her to do a tutorial, and she did, and it's great. You should go over and watch that if you haven't already. It's Rest Paper Scissors on YouTube. And she did a tutorial on doing this flower pounding, and I had no idea. I'm not real, you know, I had not crafted in years prior to starting doing the junk journaling, so I just did not know you could pound the color out of flowers and leaves. But yeah, you can actually pound the colors out of them, and I didn't know that, and I love it, and I want to get me some of the fabric and try to do that myself, and it looks like a good stress reliever. But anyway, back to this. So what I did was I put this on a thick piece of chipboard. I did stitch around it, and then on the back I just collaged, and I added this really pretty fall colored ribbon. On the bottom I showed you already, but there's a charm with a bird and a bird's nest with little pearl style eggs, and so at the top I just did a pearl bead like that. And again, I have probably a whole bucket of little jewelry rings, O-rings, that you attach jewelry with, but I like to do it with my wax cord. I like it to look homemade. So that's what I did there. And with the charm, I like for things to look handmade. So the reason I did this is for this journal. For anyone who has never seen the concept of one of these press boards, well, there's other names. I think people call them raggeties, and I don't know what all people call them, but I call them press boards, but they're perfect to insert inside of a writing section, and it just gives you something to press down on while you write. So I wanted to do one to use for this little writing book here. So that was the purpose of that. And then I just placed it here because I thought it looked pretty there when the book shut. These pieces hanging out just really look pretty. And then to this page, I had discussed this a little bit in one of my previous videos. Kathy had also sent me this twisted paper, and I like to write little hidden messages in my journals. I haven't done it. I don't think I've used any of it other than in collages. I haven't really used a whole lot of that for writing messages on in these, but I wanted to demonstrate what I was talking about. So I did a hole, and I always put the rusty washers as my hole reinforcers. And then I did not write a message on this one because the messages I write in my journal are kind of personal, and sometimes they're just little, you know, I'll write them on little pieces of paper, but little Bible verses or words of encouragement. But this is really cool when you pull it out. It unfolds open. Let me show you what it starts out like. So it starts out like twisted paper, and it unfolds, and it's so cool to write on it and kind of twist it back up and just slide it in there as a little secret message. Doesn't take up a lot of space. With it being up here, it's not really hindering the journal in any way. And it's just a perfect little place to write some words of encouragement, or if you sketch or paint a picture here, it's good to write what your thoughts were with that picture. The other part of that doily, some more art paper, pretty fabric. This is an old handkerchief, and again, it had these fall colors in it. I thought that was beautiful. This is another Matilda right here. It's like she's looking up and praising. Love that. Beautiful old lace with a, I don't think this would be a placemat. It might be a pillow front, but it's a rectangular piece that I've kind of sandwiched some paper inside of here. And then there's a clothing tag, the center of this signature, and a little bit more of that Matilda paper. I've put a little fabric tab there. And then the other side of that placemat, or whatever this crochet piece is. Some more lace. Beautiful old trim. I got a bolt of this from a lady on Etsy, and I just think it's so pretty. And it pops so well against the coffee staining of the paper. And again, just some gesso on the page. This is so pretty, this dolly here. It's crocheted. And there's another Matilda sitting on an acorn. This page is so, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but it is so old and brittle. I couldn't find a date on it, but it is very brittle. The edges, you can see in person, are just crumbling. So I put it inside of this sheet protector and stitched so that it wouldn't fall apart. And I did put a fall leaf here on the back. I actually collected some leaves last year in the fall, and I've had them pressed inside of one of my books. And so I pulled one of those out, and I thought the colors were just, sorry about the glare, thought the colors were perfect with this journal though. It had the greens, the kind of that amber and burgundy color, kind of a mustardy yellow color. It just is so pretty. And then this little emblem was on the page already, so I just laid the leaf against that. I sketched this bird, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where I put gesso down on the paper. So I you know, put a thin layer of gesso, went back and added another thin layer of gesso, and then sketched off the bird. Nothing fancy, it's just to kind of demonstrate what you can do. And then this is the signature where I placed the glass chandelier bead. This other signature somewhere through here is where I put the, here it is, so that from the outside of the book it looks like they're hanging together. Some more crochet, and then this beautiful piece here. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. It's very thin. It's got lace across the edges of the top and the bottom. Very pretty. And then on this page, I just attached with some tape. Again, this is what I do in my book. I will paint and sketch on this mixed media paper. I do my artwork on this, but then all through my book, I attach paper with tape so that it's kind of like a double duty page. And then I thought this was so pretty because it's got a parchment paper sound and feel about it. And it's just really pretty. And I thought the white flowers looked so pretty against this off-white ecru kind of color. On the back, it's very hard to see, but there's a butterfly there on the top. Little fabric tab there. And then the back of the book. It's beautiful fabric there. And then the other half of this crochet doily. And then this is the back of the book. So that completes the flip through. This book will be listed in my Etsy. I'm going to go back and add washers, or a washer and a nut right there, which will be really cool because that means it'll show from right there when it's hanging out. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know. And thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. And thanks for taking the time to watch. Y'all have a blessed day.